Okay. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to Life Lessons with Doris. I'm Doris. Today I want to talk about autism and autism spectrum disorders and how it has affected me. Today's topic is how autism has affected me. Many of you don't know that I have a form of autism, which is Asperger's syndrome, which is an autism spectrum disorder that sustains in severe and social impairment and restrictive and repetitive patterns of behavior. I remember years ago when I was 2 years old. It was back in 1988. Which was 34 years ago. Let me phrase that. I remember when I was 2 years old, which was in 1988, 34 years ago. I was only two. I started talking in that time, which was devastated for, I mean, which made my parents feel devastated, especially my mom, because both of my parents were immigrated from Nigeria to the United States. And I remember when I was little, my parents took me to, doctors to see what was going on until they met a clinical psychologist in Texas back in 1989 when I was 3 years old. Her name was Dr. Cunningham. And I remember that she, tested me and it was confirmed that I have a form of autism, which is pervasive and mental disorder, not otherwise specified. Then several years later, my diagnosis was changed to Asperger's by a different psychologist, Dr. Audrey Mui, who was a clinical psychologist through Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation Center, formerly Department of Assistive Rehabilitation Services. She changed my diagnosis based on the test results. I remember when my mom told me that I was autism, but not full, but I have a form of autism. It was when I was like 8.5 going on 9, and which I did not know that. And that's why was in special ed. And I even remember when I was just little, when I was like 3, 4 years old, I went to see the psychologist, Dr. Cunningham, back in Texas for just one-on-one therapy. It did not went out like my parents expected because I did not receive speech and language therapy nor behavioral cognitive therapy. All the psychologist that I met from Texas, Dr. Cannon, she let me play with toys and stuff. Oh, and also what she did is to just record the what's going on with my diagnosis, so the Head Start will give an information because I attended Pilgrim Head Start, which is the school that I went to when I was like 3 years old in pre-K, meaning that the the psychologist who diagnosed me back when I was little, all she did is let me play with toys and just write record about what she wrote, then send it to Head Start until they figure out what's going on. That's what my mom told me. I even remember after I finished 2 years of Pilgrim Head Start, I started with speech therapy in kindergarten. It was through HISD. I attended Neff Elementary, and it was free, and the speech therapy was going well. But I could have received speech therapy at an early age when I was first diagnosed with rest disorder. It was devastating, but I don't want to talk much about it. I remember the behaviors that I did back then. I was so hyperactive, which I did not know. I remember that I used to run around, especially everywhere in school. And when I was in kindergarten, I used to run off campus until my behavior had improved. I remember the past behaviors that I did, especially in school. I got spanked with my parents sometimes. It was hard. And I even remember the times about how autism has affected me. It's kept me from not having friends due to lack of social skills not and lack of interaction, meaning that due to poor social skills and lack of interaction, I was such a loner, not knowing that I have autism at that time. And I even remember when I was like 9 years old, I read my psychological evaluation. I read my child study evaluation from when that I was testing in third grade by Miss Joanne Nash, along with Miss Lisa Vanstone, who was the employment specialist, to look at results. And I even remember about the past behaviors that I did. I was putting my fingers in my mouth, wave my arms and stuff. And I have read from Miss Vance report that Miss Abel, which is my mom, said that my behavior had been approved for the past few years, which I explained earlier. I used to run around making outbursts, screaming and all that, but I still stare off daydreaming. And I even remember when Miss Lisa Vanstone tested me when I was about 8 years old. I was in the third grade. I remember she asked me what makes me happy, laughing, what makes her sad. My mom said don't mess in the table, and that's the problem was that I have difficulty answering a question. And I have read about what stated Miss Vanstone's report that I have trouble with reading comprehension along with Miss Nash's report. And I even remember when my mom attended my ORD meeting based on my evaluations results that I have, you know, trouble with reading comprehension, not being able to pay attention, communication skills, do which led to result of me being repeated third grade, but I didn't like it. So my father talked to principal. He took care and placed me in the fourth grade. And that's looking back about this, it was devastated. It's hard for, people with a disability to not to like function properly, but I can function, but sometimes I couldn't function properly. Living with autism is hard. And that's one of the most painful memories about it. I remember when I was in middle school, I was bullied and teased. People were calling me names such as stupid, retarded, is because of the way I behaved, I perceive myself. And some friends told me that you're not retarded. My teachers, that you're not retarded. And I realized that a lot of people don't understand that I'm different, that I have some type of disability that sustains and severe and characteristics. And the reason why they call me stupid retarded is because I laugh inappropriately, talk to myself, and they don't know that. And I say to myself, I'm not gonna let that get to me. I don't want negativity around me. And what I learned is not to care about what other people think, because some people are, they don't understand that I have some type of disability, which I realize. And some people are mean. Some people are mean. And I have overcome the obstacles despite my disability. Also, I remember that I had Landro-Kleffner syndrome, which is a form of aphasia. I was diagnosed when I was 5, was 31 years ago. They did some EEG at Herman Hospital, which is now Memorial Herman Texas Medical Center in Houston, years ago. It was 31 years ago. And it was confirmed that I have epileptic disorder called Kleffner syndrome, which is a form of aphasia that sustaining loss of language impairment and speech and comprehension, which I did not know at that time. And I remember when I was 13 years old, I was asking my mom, "Did I have any seizures?" And no, you didn't. And she explained to me why they did some kind of test because I did not talk earlier. It's now they're gonna do some surgery and all that. But they're providing me with seizure medication called Terrigal, but it did not show beneficial results, which I did not know that. And I remembered I was looking at my disability records to confirm that I have aphasia, but I did not see any records for progressive disorder because my then psychologist, what she did is just record it and just send it to her stuff, but she did not send it to my parents, and that's all the way it is. And when I remember when I my diagnosis was changed to Asperger's, I was devastated. And the worst part of it is that I could not handle college because of my short-term memory loss, and I just feel depressed. And I say to myself, I can do this. It's only God. By the grace of God, I got 3 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree, and now I'm getting my master's sometime in the fall, getting my MBA. I'm excited. I I know that I can do it, but it's not right. And for those of you who are bullying people with disabilities, stop it. It's not right because I went there. Just don't bully. Thanks for watching.